a daddy Mac. Dan's 30 years got our way, trading life and markets every day. Rusty's chained to the mines, digging deep day by day. But when Option Omega releases new features, he's free to come out and play. Option Omega, you're trading home, where every move makes you feel less alone.
We have a very special guest coming in hot. Dan Sheridan.
Yeah.
Hot or cold?
How you doing, Dan?
Rusty. Good morning, Troy.
Good morning, Dan.
Yeah.
Now, Dan, I don't want to get into
timing.
personal. I don't want to get into personal business. Like the churches I grew up in, you can just say unspoken. Did this have something to do with Panera?
You know what? 99% of the time it does. This
Okay.
one did not. Yeah.
Okay. All right. No good. All
Usually
good.
it's Panera. Many times, folks, I would be, Troy, I'll be 2 minutes late. You know, conversation got hot and heavy at Panera. You know, again, Panera is where it's like a think tank. Wouldn't that be a fair thing to say?
No, I think it's like the Heritage Foundation or something
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
It's like a Heritage Foundation. Yeah.
That's
For
funny.
sure. Well, I'm glad you're here. I want to welcome everybody to Option Omega. If you don't know, just a couple of guys talk about the market. And speaking of the market, I don't really look much nowadays, just because I don't have any overnight stuff on and I don't care. But I mean, we're up a lot overnight a lot of times, and then we're immediately down. And then also we're down a lot overnight, and sometimes we're up at open. So I feel like this is an interesting market I haven't seen in a while, where this is like slogfest. This is probably, I imagine this is probably like if you're selling 12-day iron condors and taking 10% profit.
Yeah.
You've had a great 2-week period, 3-week period. So I don't know. What do you guys, what's your heart tell you about the market?
I hate
He loves talking about his heart.
I'm a 100% emotion guy. I just don't like this kind of lousy. You have a lot of chop, right? Low conviction, low volatility, so you're really not getting paid for a lot of the risk you're taking. And the short term, right? So DC, I have a lot of DCs. Not been a great week. Last couple of weeks for DCs. I would say the last 3 weeks have been kind of a rougher period for my portfolio, but it's okay. I mean, it's 1 month, right? And so it was the same last year. I remember last December after Thanksgiving, I remember end of December was rough too. So it might be something to look forward to. Maybe in future years, I'll just not trade DCs and do something else in the Christmas season. Run up to Christmas anyway. Yeah.
One of my favorite things to do is just tell my wife, come up to her when she's having a really hard day and say, listen, don't worry. Next year, all our troubles will be miles away. She's just looking at me like, I love that line of just like, what's funny is it's things you don't think about as you're younger, but you know, once you get older, you really start realizing kind of the power in some of those, like those little lines, like, next year, all our troubles will be far away. And like, Judy Garland sings it. And by that point, I think she was a raging alcoholic. And it's the sense of like, are you saying this in jest or are you saying this for real? It's a little bit of both, you know?
Yeah.
So, anyway.
Perspective. And I think even with the market, you know, it's what you have on. And that's why I think, you know, a lot of it, to me, a lot of trading is, or at least understand, you know, what's the market giving you? And we've had like the slug, like you said, going back and forth. You know, really, when you look at the last month and a half or whatever, I mean, net, right? We haven't really gone that far from the home base, right? But when you look at the size of the candles and that kind of thing, it's tough, right? And so when you have range bound trades on whatever it may be, butterfly calendar, double calendar, whatever, you have risk management on, right? And when it goes too far, like yesterday, when we were 25 points under 6,800, right? Right? Was that yesterday? Every day kind of goes into the next one. But
Yeah, I know.
yesterday we were down, right? And 60, below some of the moving averages. I think we got right to the low was basically right around the 50-day SMA. But I had a few like double diagonal or calendar. And I did do the automated trades, which is great. You leave them alone, but even automated, you have rails on, or if you're doing it yourself, you have to adjust at a certain point. And I made some adjustments, and I think, the world of adjustments is an interesting game, right? And I think one of the principles in adjusting, that's what automation is like. It's okay. What I like about that is, especially like with a double calendar, there's two ways you're going to get beamed, right? If in the middle, that's sag, or if it goes too far past the short. So you don't really need adjustments or anything like that. But like yesterday, I made a few adjustments on the downside. And for anybody who's maybe newer, if you have a range-bound trade, when you go down, you're getting long deltas. And that's not pleasant. Right, that's like long. That's
a very understated way to say that.
It's not a good long delta.
It's slightly uncomfortable.
It's slightly uncomfortable, as they say. But one of the thoughts, you're always thinking is kind of reversion to the mean. Things bounce back. One of the principles is when you adjust, generally, you're reducing your long deltas. And if it's a 20-day trade or a 25-day trade, you adjust a little bit. Maybe the most would be half. But if you're doing a 2-day trade or a 1-day, as Barney Fife, the great risk manager from Andy Mayberry, would say, you got to nip it, right? You can't be playing as many games, right? If you've got 20-day, right, guys, if you have a 20-day calendar or a 10-day even, there's a little more room you could wait. Right? Theoretically, through the short strikes. But when you're 1 day or 2 days left, it's, and so that's, I think when you're asked people, how have you done, how has it been the last week or two with the slugfest? Part of it is, what trade have you done? Or what trade have you had on? What's the duration of that trade? But I still think it's adjusting to this type of market that it's volatile, but not going anywhere, right? And then, because when you look at it, VIX has been very unimpressed lately with these down moves. Even yesterday or Friday.
Oh, barely moved yesterday. Yeah.
Yeah, it barely. So, and Friday, I think when we were slamming down, I think it hit 1780. Whoa. Come on. So I think, it's frustrating. And I know Troy, being king of the volatility brigade, is looking at this and saying, maybe next year I'll get some VIX again.
There's nothing. The thing I love about history is it shows you the power of a good kind of a good truce give up for a little bit. Because I think if you try to fight the war to the death, like you're going to oversize and lose. There's a beauty in just saying like, hey, I'm taking my flag down. Like the days of old when a captain would get captured by another captain, they'd have dinner that night. They were friends. So I try to make friends with the market. I want it to take me out to dinner, even if I lose. So now, does that analogy sound like I'm drunk? Of course.
That was tortured. Tortured is the word I would. Yeah.
But don't you think that's why I like this? With the modeling tool connected to the back testing or connected to the automation, because so sometimes you can at least see, right? and not that you want to over tweak these things at all, right? But at least you can see, okay, what's going on here? You got a picture, the visuals can help. And I think, that's what I would do. And then test again. But one last point, I see a lot of people in all types of trading, whether it be automated, not automating, back testing, not back test. One of the biggest problems I see is that, okay, they lose on a trade, or they'll have, like Rusty said, a couple weeks of dry back double calendars, right? Well, the gut reaction is, I'm going to rebuild the house, right? Screw it. Double calendars don't work anymore. They forget, right? They're forgetting history.
Yeah.
And sometimes they can overdo, and you may just look and say, you know what? With the back testing, it shows this is just a period we're going through, right? It's not saying you can never tweak. How do you look at that, Rusty? Like you said, or Troy, 2-3 weeks have been tough for a certain type of trade, double calendar, and because of volatilities. How do you keep from, ripping the house down and rebuilding or something like that?
I would say anytime I go through a period of any sort of drawdown, or when things are not working that's they normally do, I use that as an opportunity to truly to like get better, right? I mean, that's like a truism of anything, whether it's
Yes.
sports or trading, or pretty much anything in life it's really discomfort and pain or failing that makes you grow.
Yeah.
And so I would initially try to look at it and say, well, what's going on here? Maybe I have too many of the same type of trade. Is my portfolio of trades too overly correlated, right?
Yeah.
Where if one fails, they all fail. And I've tricked myself into thinking that I have diversity just because I have 1,000 different DCs, but if they're all the same, then I would look at it and say, you can kind of almost feel that this is not a good season. For example, for short-term double calendars. Why? There's chop, but volatility is just getting cooked off. It's that, you don't have sticky vol. You want the longs to keep their value. You want to get, because you're taking risk, and the delta risk is there, but you're not really getting paid for it because you don't have that. So it's like, well, what is that? Is there a condition in the back test where I can go throughout time and notice other periods of time where this happened, right?
Yeah.
Is it a short long ratio? Maybe maybe there's not enough in the shorts. Maybe that's the thing. Is it some kind of way to approximate to where short-term volatility stinks, right? And that would normally be VIX over VIX 9-day is another way to do that, right? So if you look at that, even right now, that ratio, the VIX 9-day is at like 13.88. Versus the VIX is 16. So what does that tell you? VIX itself is kind of meh, but VIX 9-day is like, it's asleep somewhere. So, put some dirt on it, it's dead. So there's usually a few indicators that you can try to say, and then you go and test it. Then you go back test, you say, oh yeah, last Christmas the same thing happened, or just look at, maybe it's a VIX regime. We talk about low VIX, medium VIX, maybe, get creative. Don't try to overfit, but try to find, because I almost went into this month being like, I bet this is going to stink. We're near all-time highs. There's no news this month, probably.
Yeah.
Everything's going to be sleepy and choppy, light and frothy, as Wizzy would call it. And so it's kind of like, I don't really want to trade, but I didn't have at the time I was busy and I didn't have the mental space to kind of figure that out. Otherwise, I probably would have tried to head it off of the pass maybe and put this pause on a few trades here and there. So that's kind of my answer to that, right?
Good.
Yeah. You can get tricked going into seasons like this too, because liquidity, my sense of it is liquidity is probably getting drained out a little bit too as people go on vacation. The bank guys are leaving for their whatever kind of wicked holidays
yacht tours.
And you can get tricked into thinking, oh, vol's back, because suddenly there's a move where it's like 70 points down overnight or something. It's like, well, no, just no one's trading. So one guy selling suddenly turns into something.
Trips
I've felt for that.
Bots.
I mean, I've certainly had bad Christmases because I have fallen for that before, where I'm like, this move means something.
Yeah.
And placing trades as if it meant something. But really, honestly, I feel like the next 2 weeks doesn't mean anything.
Yeah. And you wonder, do you, would it be could you test it where, okay, I come into the season, I'll lighten up 20% of my my size, right? If you think something like that, I don't know if you could
Mm.
do that in the back
Yeah,
test.
yeah. Try just reduce size.
Yeah,
Well, listen.
but yeah,
I
It's not a
mean,
bad idea. I mean,
no.
to Troy's point though, like last December, I'll never forget last December 18th. If you go look at like a 1-year chart
yeah,
and you scroll back in time, December 18th, we had a crazy. I remember I was meeting with Matt and Troy at the time in Lexington, Kentucky, and we were walking around and the market was just drilling all day. But then we still chopped in that range. It didn't. There was no conviction. So what happens? It rebounds over the next few days, and then it just chops for like the next month or two.
oh
Just
yeah,
nothing happened.
yeah,
It meant no, to Troy's point, there's no narrative. It meant nothing. I don't know why we sold off that day. I don't know if there was a tweet from Trump. I don't know if there was a tariff. I don't know what happened at that point.
yeah,
But it clearly meant nothing. And so
yeah.
this period, usually, unless there's like a large controlling, like if Powell came out, or not Powell, he's kind of irrelevant now because he's going to get replaced. But if somebody came out and was like, there's definitely no rate cuts over the next 3 years, zero chance, that would probably move the market and continue in a trend.
It would continue, and yeah, it would mean something. Yeah, for sure.
But in an absence of that, it just feels like a big nothing burger, right?
Yeah, and the
How
other
do you
thing
trade
is,
it?
we forget that volatility. It's the old thing. If VIX goes up to 20 or 21,
Yeah.
it doesn't. Those don't, except for 2022, those don't necessarily stay up that long. Whereas VIX can stay low and torture you for a good while.
This is the thing that I constantly have to remember in my mind. This is the normal VIX.
You said it. You
Like,
said it.
the majority of the year when we were like 18 to 20 is not normal.
That's
And
right.
so,
That's right.
you
That's
kind of
right.
have to account for that and go from there. But listen, I want to account for it by looking at a back test.
Yeah.
If it's all right.
What's that?
This is not a small account challenge test. This is a normal Rick that MedHat has put in the OO discussion channel. So shout out MedHat. I give you MedHat's Rick. And I love to ask Rusty to look at tests that he's never seen before and immediately tell people what it is. So Rusty,
I love
are we
it.
looking at?
This is your favorite game.
It
Let's put
is.
Rusty on the spot.
Well,
I don't
birthday
know
present
why
for
you
myself.
love it.
Yeah.
All right, what do we got here? Well, first of all, obviously this isn't reverse, or other people call it inverse iron condor, right? So you want movement, or forget desire. The trade is profitable if the underlying moves from when you put it on. It's pretty tight. Look at the at the money call. The long call is right at the money, 0% out of the money, versus the long put is only 0.25% out. So, in a 6,000 point vehicle, that's not that far. So, 15 points or whatever. That's pretty tight, right? So the odds of you getting some movement aren't bad. And then it looks like you give it 0.5% either way. So, 0.25 to 0.75 or 0 to 0.5. So you give it a 0.5 percentage point move past that, and that caps your wins, because at that point the short will kick in. You won't gain anymore. So my guess is this is going to be, he's got a max premium of 15. So that's the other thing. I was going to say there could be times where this is really expensive because it's so close to the money, but MedHat here has chosen to cap it at 15. Why? So that you're not overpaying, right? So you're not getting in this thing when ball's juiced. I mean, so really he's tripling down on that, right? So you've got an overnight move down to the VIX. You've got an intraday move down to the VIX between 10 and 12:30. And then on top of that, you're also saying also only do it when this thing is not too expensive. So really you're almost like tripling down. There's one narrative here, which is go long movement. You want movement one way or another. So you're all in on movement, and you're tripling down on a scenario where volatility is crushed overnight, crushed during the day, and still pretty cheap. Because there can be scenarios where that happens, and if VIX is 30 and that's happened, you're still going to pay a few bucks for it. So this you're looking for an ideal setup to go, long here essentially.
Yeah, Rusty, would you say or Troy, is that win percentage? That seems. I mean, I get it. This is it's long delta. It's picking its spots carefully. There's a lot of trades here. Does the 66% win percentage? I mean, that seems pretty good. Does that seem high to you on first thought when you hear this, or?
Yeah, it's a good question. You look at it and you think, okay, modeling it out. Shout out the architect for putting this in here.
Yeah.
A very cool feature in my mind. So
What
let's
is
take
that?
it. Oh, this is modeling, Rusty, and
Oh.
it's it's your architecture and it's my magnum opus. So together we shine, and we shine.
I like
These are
Magna.
just words. Yeah, Troy's magnum opus forever.
Yeah.
So, but when you go, like for instance, at expiration, let's just assume you need 24 points, right? But to break even. You need to the downside, let's call it 39 points. Well, could you get that? Certainly. The chances, what's interesting, what I think makes the percentage higher is because of those setups that Rusty just described. That you're only putting it on when VIX is down, and it's a double whammy. VIX is down. Now, I will say I didn't. This is, if you look in the discussion channel on Discord, Ned Hat posted a different screenshot. All I did was I basically made it a one lot. So I wanted to look at that, but I want to test it with a couple different things to show you kind of how this, how long, as Dan always said, that this is something that it takes some getting used to because of just what you can lose. So we're gonna start with 100,000, and let's start with 5. And if you guys don't care, we're just gonna run this with some different allocations this morning and look at what this looks like.
I wouldn't object since you asked. Just kidding.
No, I
like,
appreciate
does
it.
anyone ever say that? Like, actually, I don't want to do that. Just get real
I mean, you
aggressive all of a
told me
sudden.
that multiple times through the years. Besides that, Rusty, this is why I love Rusty. Look, shout out Rusty. Rusty and I have developed for a long time. Rusty, the only human being. People used to they'd close the door at our office because they were worried. They would like try to break up these things that they thought were fights.
Yeah.
Rusty and I are just having like a discussion on the whiteboard, and people are just very emotional. Like, guys, can we just get along? We're like, what are you talking about?
Nothing wrong with good passion.
No. Now they might have heard like a couple like, "Are you stupid? This is the dumbest idea."
Well, those leak in. Yeah,
exactly.
Troy was very abusive to me, but I took it.
Yeah, I did. I would hit him. But all right, so this is a 5% allocation. Okay, you think to yourself, that's pretty good, right? Mar went up, all that stuff.
I wouldn't think that.
Well, this is the thing. So what? That's a dumb idea, and you're dumb for saying it. Stuff like that.
Yeah.
So we're going to keep going, and we're going to keep doing a 10% allocation. I wish, Rusty, what we need, I just realized, we need to put music. Just really, you can't cancel it. You can't turn it down. Just like Russian music.
Oh, right. Okay. I thought I was going like hold music or something, like elevator music.
Oh, while you're running the back test?
Right,
yeah. Or metal. Maybe you could do the genre in setting. But
Troy went straight to he had to like riff it on guitars or something. Some guitars. All
right, I'm gonna get a little bit more aggressive. So we're gonna go 20%. Okay, but that took us to 10.4 Mar. Do you think this is going to get better or worse? This is my thought. These are always fun to me.
I think it's going to get worse.
This is what I want to do all day. Just the YouTube live channel where we're running.
We're just completely silent.
Yeah.
And then we're in another back test. Hey,
boy.
Okay.
So this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna go one more, and we're gonna call it for the day. That's a 20% allocation. Notice that drawdown. You're like, that's a wonderful. I could take an 18 MAR, but I wanted to show this just the
Yeah, before you buy yourself a Lambo
Yeah.
and go all in on your account.
I think listen, Tom, Rusty was there when I explained the Ludic fallacy to another developer. And we laughed our butts off as that developer more or less cussed me out and left the room.
That was an interesting time. Yeah, that did actually happen. You didn't get cussed out, but you were mocked.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the same thing as me. I mean, as soon as you mock me, I assume you're cussing me out.
Well, you are pretty sensitive.
Many people have said that. Many people have said Troy's very sensitive. Now, this is, I actually think this is going to go bust. This is my thought.
It's taken a hot minute for some reason. I think because it's trying to figure out what to do with no money.
Yeah, I think that is the question. What do you do with no money?
It's like, hey, what's going on here? What are you trying to do here? You're basically saying like, how does one appropriately size this?
Yeah, the sizing, and the reason the sizing is, I mean, listen, we can cancel it just because I think we're gonna actually, I'm gonna let it run. I'm gonna let it run, but talk about it. This is the thing. I think the sizing of this is really important because you can be fooled into thinking like that MAR is so high that you should put a lot of capital towards this.
Yeah.
There's a big thing with this in my mind. That's the problem. And the bigger the capital expenditure, the more you have to look at what your data set is, the number of occurrences. And this is, I'm going to cancel it. This is not a lot of occurrences. So
I was going to say 200 over 4 years, basically, right?
Yeah. And that is something that would not tear me away from doing the trade, but it would tear me away from the idea that I want to really size this aggressively. Now, things to look for. If you had a 20% allocation and it was at 18 MAR and you had 1,000 occurrences or 2,000 occurrences, well, man, I mean, that's a lot of confidence I would have in that type of trade.
Right.
But we don't have that here. So,
but on the other hand, Troy, would you look at this trade, and Rusty, I look at this trade and say, you know, if I'm going to trade how do you trade a 0-day, pretty healthy negative theta trade and trade it into a winner, right? And I think part of the solution is, well, in most years, it's got to be long delta, right?
Yeah.
Because it mainly go up. But I think the other what's the gentleman who did this test?
I think it's Medhat.
But the two genius things is he's saying, hey, how do we get a 66%? How do you get this high win rate on a negative theta trade, which you wouldn't think? Well, he's going to be very selective when he puts it on. And I think, but that's what makes the trade, right? How do you get,
that's right.
For a negative theta trade like that, I think it's very difficult, right? The easy thing is just, okay, I'll just lean long on any Rick, lean long and it'll go well. But this is where the practical to me comes in, is saying, okay, but I want to be dead sure. Okay, we want right, Rusty and Troy, overnight VIX down and the intraday. And I think this which makes it a really good trade. I wouldn't mind, doing this trade. So to me, I look at it and say, okay, at least trades, but I don't want to trade this every day, right? Unless, I like this, the fact that he's dealing with, because negative theta trades, I think you have to give a little more thought. This isn't like, at least with a double calendar or some type of trade, it's positive theta for the most part, right? Unless, in most situations.
Yeah, most of the time. Yeah.
Yeah, most of the time. So yeah, anyways.
I agree with you on that. And I think the other thing that makes the win rate high, Dan, is because if you think about it, right, it's such a tight Like look at the strikes that it put on
Oh,
December
yeah.
2nd. So 20 points between the put and the call. But so it goes on. I can't read it now that you do that. It goes on at 68.39, and so you're at 68.40 on the call and 20 on the put. So you only need, if you think
Right.
about it, since it's less than 15, you need 15 points of movement on the upside, and you're at break even. That's not
nothing.
much of a move. That's
Speaking
nothing.
of speaking of break even, Rusty, is someone breaking into your house right now?
Can you hear that? Sorry. Yeah.
That's all right.
Blame Restream for its lack of ability to cancel out background noise.
Agreed.
Yeah, my house is at the final stages if we had to put new siding on it, James Hardy board siding, and they're doing the prep and painting. So it happens. This is literally my life last 3 weeks is saws and hammers, and it's
You sound like a serial killer. When you say it that way. But on that note,
hey, come on over, Troy. Hey, you want to hang out tonight?
On that note, I would love a background situation, maybe next October, where you just have people in the background be like, "No,
hire actors."
Yeah,
that's right. Let me out of here. All right, guys. Well, listen, lots of stuff. We got some big stuff. As a reminder, as always, we are less than, I think, 5 days away from the biggest Christmas party you've ever seen in your life.
Is it next Wednesday?
It's next Monday.
Monday.
Oh.
12 to 4, right?
12 to 4. I love telling the host. This is why I do it every day, is to remind the host what time it is and what day it is. So the biggest Christmas party of the year, some confirmed special guests that will be dropping by, just unannounced, just dropping by. That's going to be sweet. And probably some musical numbers. Listen, if you guys are in our Discord, I would encourage you, don't @ anybody. Don't do the @ symbol to anybody because that gets annoying. But if you see Matt out and about in Discord today, I would encourage you guys to ask him gently to play guitar for you.
Mandolin. We need a mandolin.
Okay.
Need the mandolin.
Mandolin. And then while we're here, I mean, there's been a little bit of, if you feel like Rusty, I'm being too unkind to Matt, Matt has encouraged the audience to reach out to you about trumpet. So
I don't even own a trumpet anymore. So
that's not happening. I can get you a trumpet.
No, you can't. There's no trumpets left in Knoxville. They're totally
I've got a trumpet.
Rusty's not going to be. There'll be no music.
Well,
Troy, I still want to see Matt play Jose Feliciano.
Feliz Navidad.
Feliz Navidad. He's multiple guitars. Matt's a guitar guy.
Yes, guitar guy. He's a guitar guy through and through. And so
did he play Rusty when you guys were rooming together in town?
Oh yeah. He's played the guitar since I've known him. Right.
Wow.
I met him junior year of college, and he's the whole time I've known him, he's played multiple instruments: mandolin, guitar. Yeah.
Mandolin's a beautiful. I think it's a beautiful instrument.
It's cool. I like it a lot. Yeah.
Shout out one of the best names I've seen, Dad who keeps showing up, because that's what we're doing as dads. Side note, you just keep showing up.
We're just present. That's our main.
That's part of our thing, is we're just here.
Yeah.
Troy, is there any way you could get Tom from Scotland? For those who don't, any way he could maybe, bagpipes are big in Scotland. Can he? I don't know if Tom plays the bagpipe. Is there any?
Oh man,
that's a
I would love Tom to play the bagpipe at like a funeral dirge for the back test that got away from us this year.
That would be good.
We oversized a little bit.
That would be good with the kilt.
I'd love that. All right, guys, listen. Have a great trading day. We'll be back tomorrow. Matt will be joining us. Rusty, thanks for jumping in today, and the whole crew will be here Friday. So have a good trading day. We'll talk to you soon.
Always good time.